I'm going to give you your own stake in the family farm.
I'm not staying here, Dad. I'm racing cars.
I don't know about at any price. I mean,
Yeah, we've got to give a rating. What rating do we give a movie that's at any price?
I know that does make it more difficult. Like, you didn't exactly sell me when you said your two leads were Dennis Quaid and Zac Efron on the whole.
Oh, stop it!
any
You
price.
know you have a big man crush on Zac Efron.
Yeah.
I admit, I do have a little.
And you love. Don't tell me you didn't get a chubby for Dennis Quaid back in the Inner Space days.
Oh, I did.
He had that Harrison Ford shit-eating grin.
Well, he was the poor man's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Cyrus got a chubby for him when he saw him as General Hawkeye in the first G.I. Joe
Oh,
movie.
no.
Yes,
No.
my dreams have come true.
I did
Now,
not.
if only
No.
Zac Efron were here playing that other dude.
No, I don't think anyone liked Dennis Quaid as General Hawkeye in that movie, for the record. But
General Hawk, just so people aren't jumping all over us.
Yeah, well, I like it best when he's hanging out with Trapper John, who's much better GI than BJ was. But well, I mean, still, yeah, I like Zac Efron mainly because he defied expectations.
Right.
Like, here's a
And he
guy
sings.
came out of the Disney
You-
world.
you love the singers and
I
the
do love
dancers.
I do like, well, because that's old school Hollywood.
Matter of fact, Zac Efron is what you theater folk might call a triple threat.
That's right. You like to sing it and spring it and
Well, yeah, I mean, in old school Hollywood, you were expected to some degree to be able to know how to sing and dance, and that has since gone the way of the dinosaurs.
Which is funny. Like, a triple threat is a guy who can sing and dance and act, which is probably the least threatening thing you could do.
Well,
to a
that's-
man. Yes.
The problem is now there's no end of these young kids coming out who can sing, sure, and
Yeah.
they can dance, sure, but they definitely can't act.
Many of them cannot.
Zac Efron
Can
is
act
that,
like assholes, but that's about it.
Zac Efron seems to be the exception.
He is,
Where, like,
he is.
he's got that something.
Well,
where-
you know what? Because he came up in the High School Musical, movies, Disney-fied, and he's such a pretty boy. I mean, he's so pretty.
How much of a pretty boy is he, Leon?
So much.
Well, we were rooting,
so much.
We were rooting against him the same way
Yeah.
we rooted against Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
at
he
one
comes
point.
out and you go, man, fuck that guy.
See, I never rooted against Brad Pitt because to me he was always the stoner on the couch. So,
I'm True Romance.
yeah.
So you didn't see him in stuff before that. 'Cause if you saw him in anything
No.
before that, you would have been like,
Yeah,
man,
fuck that
Yeah,
guy.
that guy's too pretty. Fuck
Leon,
him.
that world does not exist to me, and it never will.
But in the case of both of them, they proved that they have acting chops.
Yeah,
Go
I
figure.
mean, maybe Efron certainly hasn't had a film on the level of like Seven, which has made everybody in the world go, Brad Pitt is okay.
yeah.
That'll happen. Just give him time. When
Well, that's the
when he
thing.
turns
Yeah, he
like
hasn't-
late 20s or something, when he looks like a man.
He'll have his 12 monkeys
And
eventually.
Efron is clearly starting to turn away from the more traditional, like the Nicholas Sparks fare and all that stuff, because, this film at any price is definitely not one of those just for the whole family type of film.
Well, and if you're like a teenager or a young person who goes, oh, Zach, I love him and everything. I can't wait for you to see this because he's a dick.
He is a dick.
Is this like Days of Thunder?
I didn't see that.
Who actually remembers Days of Thunder?
Co-host and Tom Cruise.
See that VHS tape I have?
Talk about pretty boys to hate back in the day.
Actually, you know what? He's less of a dick and he's more of a bitch.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like, he's that spoiled little bitch of a kid where you're just like, man, I want to like you, but wow, I hate you.
Well, part of the problem is you can't blame at least him being not terribly happy in his scenario.
Sure.
Because this takes place in, it's competitive art, of our agriculture, which is in the day and age of like all these big corporations like Monsanto and stuff like edging out the small farmer in really, really aggressively dickish ways. It's hard for small farmers to
All
make,
right,
and they're
keep it down,
and they're-
Captain
and
Liberal.
they're eating each other, quite frankly.
Yes. It's
to-
making it hard for the farmers, like especially little guys, to make it without cheating or doing other things.
Like Ronald McDonald. And,
Yes,
his
that
farm,
small
his little
farmer.
farm.
Yeah, he had a farm. But here, Dennis Quaid is the dad of Zac Efron, and he is one of those guys, the farmer who's trying to make it work in this tough world. He's done a pretty good job for most of his career because he's a salesman first and foremost.
you introduce to Dennis Quaid, and he's got like a used car salesman demeanor to him.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of these things where you're in a like the bugfuck Midwest with all these farmers who are trying to make it, and the ones who can't make it, they hate him because he's got that kind of salesman, demeanor about himself, and he seems to be doing okay when they aren't. So it just makes everybody like, ugh.
But he's got that one guy, of course, who's always there, nipping at his heels, doing better than he is, played by the great Clancy Brown,
Right.
playing the most restrained role he may have ever played in his entire career.
Okay, tell the truth. Isn't it weird when Clancy Brown is not the villain?
Yeah. I mean, you keep expecting in this movie for him to turn out he had some nefarious plan.
Right.
And he's just a normal guy. He's just kind of demonized by Dennis Quaid because this is the guy who's not only doing a little bit better than he is, but in fact is even doing better enough to take some of his customers away from him. As the movie establishes, hey man, it's nothing personal. This is just business. And I don't mean that in like the mafia film type way.
Right.
I mean, it
Hey,
really,
it's just business. It's like, no,
it really
is
just business. It's like, what do you expect me to do? I mean, you weren't providing good enough of a product. They came to me and I gave it. I wasn't going to go, well, that guy who's not really my friend and treats me like shit, I shouldn't step on his toes.
Right.
But the problem is that Dennis Quaid and his wife, played by Kim Dickens, this has been a tradition. It's a family tradition, keeping this farm going. It's a family farm. And they expect one of the kids, at least, their other son, being away at college on, I believe, a football scholarship.
I can't remember.
We don't see much of him during
Yeah, we
the
don't.
film.
We don't. He's that oldest son that the dad wants to have come back home. But the son is like
prodigal son.
Yeah, prodigal son. But he's
okay.
like, yeah, I'm out seeing the world and doing cool stuff.
Yeah,
And
doesn't want to come back.
yeah, don't want to come back.
at all.
And the longer it goes on, the more you can't blame him. It's interesting because this movie, it begins like, most of it seems like it's about Dennis Quaid and kind of being that kind of Willie Loman character, the desperate salesman who's trying to keep everything together. He's got the man coming out of his head. He's trying to keep everything afloat, keep the family. He's desperate. He's got a girlfriend on the side.
Played by Heather Graham.
Played by Heather Graham. He's constantly smiling, trying to get new business. Things aren't quite working, but he's trying to keep it together. It seems to be all about that. His son, Zac Efron, his younger son, who races stock cars on the side.
And is apparently so good that he's kind of the small town hero.
Right.
Okay.
But, he's got his detractors too who like, oh, you think you all this, but, and it becomes a thing where like, hey, son, that's great you're doing those races and I can't wait to have you join my business. Fuck you, Dad. This is what I'm doing.
Fuck your business.
And that's that point where you go, like, and I know you and I both have that same problem with the sons who are like, not just have problems with their father, but are just unreasonably a dick about it to them. It's like, yeah, Dennis Quaid is a hard guy to get through to.
Yes.
No question.
You could see like having a dad like that. Yeah. It'd be hard to cozy up to him.
Yeah, there's a reason. Well, yeah, there's a reason why the kid is acting a certain way. It's probably because of the father.
Right. Yeah. But he takes it to a level to where you're like, I don't know that I can be on your side about this.
Yeah.
I want to see things from your point of view, but you kind of.
But you got to give something to get something, and he's not giving anything except the most sort of arrogant, rebellious teenage boy bullshit. And as it goes along, as we see, okay, well now your dad is trying here. He's trying to support you. He's going, I'm seeing that maybe he's not as interested. Everyone's telling me he's really good at the stock car thing. I haven't been that supportive. Now I'm going to try and give something.
Let's all go out and celebrate.
Thanks. I got plans.
We'll break them. Heck, this is important.
Dad, I can't. I mean, I get these every weekend. Hey, you can have this one. Bye, Mom.
Bye. Good job.
Hey, Dean. I was proud of you out there.
Thanks, Dad.
It's just not enough to Zac Efron's character, who is not ready for the big time.
No,
as it turns out.
As it turns out, he's not. He's
all lies?
He's Captain Choke when it
Yeah,
comes.
he's Captain Choke. Yeah, exactly. As well, like, there's an interesting side storyline that never really goes anywhere with, Zac Efron's girlfriend. Who I don't know what her name is right here. I didn't say, maybe Laura, is it, no, I don't know.
She was cute as a button. I don't
Vanessa
remember.
Hudgens?
Really
No.
gorgeous.
Let's stop
Oh, no,
it.
it's Micah Monroe, I believe,
Okay.
is who it was. I mean, she's adorable in this, and she's one of those people like, wow, she's really cute, she's really nice. You want her to, like, her character to really come to something. And one of the interesting thing that never goes anywhere is come with me, is that she's, Dennis Quaid's like, well, your son's gone. Why don't you just take her out? She's just sitting here. You need help out on the, going out here with these sales. And he does. And they start finding a real balance, which it's like, wow, you're really good at this.
Well, it's this movie. I don't know. It seems like, and I don't know if this is because they weren't sure what to do with it, but it seems like for so much of it feels like a character piece. Like most character piece about Dennis Quaid, about everything he's trying to do to keep things just going, and his head above water, and his outlet for fucking Heather Graham on the side. But then it turns into this girl, Zac Efron's girlfriend, becomes his sort of surrogate son, and on sales calls, and you really see this like budding relationship between the two of them. Like he's her mentor. and it's working. It gives you a good feeling. But,
everything gets complicated when there's an investigation into Dennis Quaid's business.
because there's a constant investigation where they're like, hey, you've been washing these seeds and you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah,
and that's in your contract. And if you have, we got to see your books.
Yeah.
You constantly got somebody come around. We got to see your books.
Well, the
Do you
idea
feel a
being-
pressure on him?
You buy seeds from this big companies.
Yeah.
And then, which is sort of like, the liberal subtext that you don't want me to go into for some reason.
I'm teasing.
That where like you buy the seeds, but you're not allowed to reuse them apparently.
Yeah.
Or seeds from it, like they're designed so you have to keep rebuying them, which is part of the problem with modern agriculture. It's become this corporate structure where they go, hey, it's all about selling to the big guy, making the big guy in charge of absolutely everything.
I saw that documentary. I did see that. Yeah.
And he's like, he's got a guy who works with him who's been washing these seeds and making them so he can reuse them. And he's been smart enough not to reuse them himself because apparently it's the sort of thing they can trace, but he's been selling those reused seeds to other people. That's the thing he's afraid of everybody finding out about. And he's like getting this girl, Zac Efron's girlfriend here on his side to help him through this. He's afraid to admit to anyone the depths to which he's sunk, even the depths of which having like an affair on the side, even though his wife is like about as loyal as you could ask for.
Right.
It's one of those pieces that feels like it should come to something more interesting than it does.
Well,
yeah, you got race car driving. I was like, when does that come into play again?
It's race car driving in Iowa. Who cares?
I know. Right?
Well, it's the only thing that you're really kind of selling me on this movie.
Well,
as far
the
as wanting
thing
to
is,
Just
see.
picture it's a young Captain Kirk.
There's a point when you kind of feel like, okay, this is what it is. It's laid out everything. It's a character piece that's going to play out. Either he's going to get busted and go to jail, or he won't. And then, somewhere in the third act, it introduces this whole new plot. I really don't want to say what it is, but it kind of changes the focus of everything.
Okay, it sounds like there's too much shit going on in
Well,
this movie for me.
kind of in a way.
Yeah,
That's sort of the problem.
Nothing really comes together the way you would want it to. A lot of these separate plot threads never come to anything.
Like they don't really connect with each other in the way. I will say that what they do in the third act made it more interesting to me. Whereas I was like, okay, this is what it is. What it does, I go like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a whole new ball of fish.
My
no, whole
time
new
is-
kettle of fish going on.
My time
here.
is very valuable. I don't have time to be sitting there waiting for
The
a
movie
third act to
The thing is, the movie short.
surprise
It's about
me.
90 minutes long.
Yeah, it's not that long of a film, but even so, it definitely stumbles. Its strength is its performances, which
Yes,
are
absolutely.
indeed quite good. Dennis Quaid, proves that he really is a great actor who doesn't get as many good chances these days.
Right.
He has some amazing, remarkable moments here to balance multiple emotional things going on at once that work. It does sell it.
It's like you want to dislike him, but you can't
Yeah.
because you just can't help but feel like, man, look what this guy has to deal with.
Well, yeah, honestly, in even his position of what he's like, not the affair per se, but the, the thing he's doing with the seeds, you can't really blame him for like the position he's in for trying to do anything he can to keep his farm afloat, including that. There's no banging over the head of the political subtext, but it's there.
It's there, yeah.
It's a,
General Hawk has to eat too. I get it. Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah.
you can't remember any other characters he was called.
No, that in Inner Space. Yeah.
Dreamscape.
I call him Dreamscape. Yeah.
But Zac Efron goes from being kind of like a little bit of a petulant child to just being a prick, like one of those characters that from the movies you might see this year that you might end up hating the most.
Yeah. I mean, doing like the worst thing he could
Can't wait to
think
see it.
to do, the biggest dickish thing he could do to your own father in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, wow, man, that's like
Bang
there's
his
some
wife?
Serious, there's some serious pissing contests going on here, alpha male stuff. And I guess by the very end, I was glad to see things work out the way they did. I mean, it's kind of a happy ending, really.
Not really.
Kinda.
I would, kind of like maybe 15% happy.
Yeah, it's mixed. I mean, it's one of
Sold.
those. It's one of the films.
Where
like
do I
the
get my ticket?
Structure's all over the place, but I keep coming back to good performances. They were good enough that I enjoyed watching it. I thought the cinematography was really good. And if you're interested in our big audience who's interested in small farming,
Yeah.
all you fans of small farming out there, this is our movie.
I think
Sunday, small farming.
Well,
I think everyone who you met at New York, the New York event, they're into that.
Well, I think if I'm reading you correctly, I probably fall somewhere where you did, where it's like, yeah, I'm saying it's all over the place, but at the end, I was like, I really did like this movie.
Yeah, I think I did too, but I just liked it.
What the hell did you like about it?
Well, like I said, you know what? I'm not telling you what happens in the third act because it is kind of a surprise and
spoiler.
Yeah, it would be a spoiler. But it just takes this whole new shift where I'm like, okay, maybe it feels a little out of left field, but it really needed that.
And that moment for you really changed the rest of the movie.
I wasn't disliking it before, but I was very mid-range about it. And honestly, up until that point, I thought, okay, this had some nice performances, but I'm going to forget this movie. And what it did toward the end made me go like, okay, now I'm not going to forget
It
this
doesn't
movie.
hurt the fact that Heather Graham not only gets totally naked, you basically see her suck a dick. No, kidding. None of that is in there.
But she is in the movie.
I just wanted to see co-host do that.
And she's wearing roller skates.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
No roller skates. I was like, Heather, we love you. We do. You're very sexy. You have a certain thing about you, but your chance of being one of the great actresses has already passed.
Yeah, it's gone.
May I humbly suggest that you could probably quintuple your money if you did a porn film.
Tell me that didn't happen with that Mike Myers film.
But yeah, I like I said, mixed feelings about this, but I want to hear your rating first on this.
Oh, you know what? I ultimately give it a low matinee. Because like I said, there's never a point where I hated it. It's just at a point where I thought, well, it's there. I'm going to forget it. It does something to make me, made it stick with me. Even now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty powerful. And the performances are really good. And not enough can be said about Dennis Quaid and Zac Efron. But everybody in the cast was good. And this, Michael Monroe, I really hope and expect to see her in more stuff. Because she's very charming.
Yeah, she really was. She had that thing where you're like, wow, what a fascinating character that she's built out of almost nothing.
Almost nothing, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with absolutely everything you said. I usually say almost everything you said, except I do. You nailed it. It's not a great movie, but it is a good movie, and it shows promise both for several of the actors. I'd love to see that, like, once again, Zac Efron, my boy, is starting to like move into stuff that's not just kiddie picks or female crowd pleasers. He's trying to do something a little more challenging. And honestly, I think he needs to move into something that's really dark. You know? I mean, he needs his 7 to make people convinced he's a real actor and not just a pretty boy.
So we need to hook him up with David Fincher.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be so bad. Or Terry Gilliam with The Fifth Element. Or not Fifth Element, I'm sorry.
12 Monkeys. Because that was what turned Brad Pitt around.
That was the moment where, like, we went, wow, he was really good in 7, but then we saw 12 Monkeys and went, holy shit, this guy knows how to act.
Yeah.
I like him.
That was his monster, if you will.
Oh,
the
right.
way it was with Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
It was like, you're going to ugly yourself up, you're going to play a completely crazy
guy.
role, and it was like, wow, you did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought she did that with Aeon Flux, but
Shut up.
what do I know? I don't know.
You don't think that. I know. I go back and listen to the review, and I know you don't think that. But yeah, it's a low matinee. Yeah, it's not at any price. It's at a matinee price. So there it is.
What'd you give it? Oh, you
I went first.
I was gonna say.
What'd you give it, Coz?
Yeah.
Yeah, what have you been drinking?
I know.
Motor oil?
What am I drinking?
Motor oil.
Henry Whipple, we've been investigating you. We got a tip.
Who gave you this tip?
We need to visit your fields.
Who could have done this? You didn't talk, did you? Tell me who it was. You ruined me. If they find out, we'll lose everything. I don't know what to do. You're in trouble, aren't you? Call off the agents. Call them off.